after that stone turned on, I remember what caused it all.
Thank you.
Well, I hope they don't shoot your car if that picture of Trump on the window.
Well, I'll tell you, they do, there's a big trouble.
They shot, or did shoot at him. Tried to shoot him again
It's
yesterday.
been all over the place. They say, boy, I like that picture.
So we've got.
Everybody that sees it likes
Go to
it.
Glen Hope, they probably won't like it. All it's down there is arrow signs everywhere.
You know, it's-
I couldn't believe it.
Well, that's all we're here for. 20 minutes. This here, yes, up there. I know. Say we had that, but then Pledge of Allegiance. I'm assuming that's why too.
So it's a little bit for solar powered.
Here, here's copies of the agenda.
It's warm one. Isn't often you ever have to do it. But sure. Maybe once a year or more.
We're gonna call to order here, do the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We had an executive session, was held on 8/29/24 at 6:02 to 8 p.m. And it was over legal matters and employee matters. We did the pledge, so. Roll call. Smitty? Here. I'm here. Tom? Here. Jeff?
There.
I guess that's all.
That's it.
Who's Tom? There's only one here now.
Yeah.
The other one's not here. About to call him. We need a motion to approve the minutes from 8/19/24 regular meeting.
Can you read those out loud, please?
I am reading.
No, like the whole, like, do you read the whole minutes? Not just.
That's what's on the paper.
I'll give you
Yeah.
the operator that means we have a copy of minutes.
Thank you.
What one does she want? From here.
Like how public comments and break. The announcements.
Tom Brink had 2 public announcements. The board has 2 executive sessions for personal matters on July 15th, 2024 and August 19th, 2024. Public comments, Bill McCusker said he received a letter from IMA on August 1st, 2024 for the inspection services lines, and that an appointment was to be made by calling IMA's office. Bill said the problem he has with that, doesn't IMA think customers are smart enough to know what kind of pipe they have? Tom Brink said that some people can't determine what kind of pipes they have. Bill said that it takes a lot of man hours and money is being wasted. Bill asked what the status of the well flow meter. Ryan Beeson said it was installed, but it was not online. Tom Brink said we are in compliance, and Bill said, into the permit, and well, or for backup, Donna Morrison said they found iron in the wells. And Cole Gallagher had presentation papers are enclosed. Carl Watosick asked if CNR is coming back to his house. He has it sinking around the meter pit. Tom Dixon was asked it sealed, and Carl said no. Carl said that it needs fixed where there our connection is and coming back and make it right. Carl appreciates Jeff Geller coming to his house and looking for his problem. Carl said Jeffrey didn't have to, Jeff. Let's do it. Said the emergency procedure was terrible. He got no response from calling the pager, calling Tom Brink, Ryan Beeson numerous times. Donna Morrison said has a copy of the agreement to reappoint at least one member from the Cary Township. In the 1991 letter was amended in 1996. Linda Schaefer said she had talked to Dan Mann about 6 weeks ago about a new tap, and he is responsible for it. She hasn't heard anything back from him. Tom Brink said it will get figured out. She said she hopes because they are delivering their trailer within 2 weeks and it needs to be done ASAP. Mayor thanks IMA for all its help during the flood. Mayor said that Dan Mann made sure all operations were taken care of the plant before he assisted with the flooding. The mayor asked, what is the hours of operation? Casey Dick, Tom Brink said 8 to 4. The mayor said, so we are all in agreement about the hours. He said has gotten a lot of phone calls about the door of IMA being locked, nobody answering the phone, and people are going over BCI to pay their bills. Casey Dick said when she leaves the plant, for whatever reason, she uses a sign-out sheet. Mayor asked if there's overtime for emergency hours, and Ryan Beeson said yes, but only for emergencies. Mayor asked Tom Dixon if the audit has been conducted yet. Since the last meeting, Tom Dixon said he was calling the next day. Tom Dixon said it's been,
Tom Brinks.
what's that?
Tom Brinks was supposed to call to get their stuff.
No, that was in the before that.
Did you get it?
It says Tom Dixon on here.
Okay.
No, he signed up the month before.
Well, he said he was calling what the lawyer said. Bill McCusker asked if Arvona Fire Company filled up swimming pools, and Terry Collins said he calls the guys from IMA and says what they are using and brings a check up to the office. Bill isn't against filling pools, just want to make sure water is being drawn out of the reservoir than what is coming in. There isn't more. Engineers report, Leo Drast said the final inspection will be 2 weeks. CNR has finished up restoration, meter pits installed. IMA needs to address scaling issues on meters. Mike Koski mentions motions application for payment of number 171-589-33. Dan Smith seconds. All in favor? Operator's report. Tom Dixon motions to order new bench top pH probe for the lab at a cost of $285. Mike Kossick seconds. All in favor? Tom Dixon motions for 2 letters from IMA for refunding from Univar and Jacob's Oil. Dan Smith seconds. All in favor? Shelley Barban asked if there are readings ever going to be accurate. Tom Brink said we're making progress, but not quite yet. Kelly Redbone asked why hasn't the lawyer been at the meeting? Tom Brink said due to expenses. Office report, Dan Smith paid bills by Cossack seconds. Tom Dixon motion to adjourn at 8:52 PM. Dan Smith seconds, all in favor. Next regular meeting is October 21st, 2024 at 7 in Arvona Fire Hall.
Correction. There was 2 objections to Mrs. Morrison's letter, and we'd like those objections to be placed in minutes. Otherwise, I would respectfully ask that that statement be stricken from the record. Ms. Gallagher made an objection and had a backing of her objection, and I just made an objection and was overruled by the chairman.
Why don't you go back to corporate where you belong? You don't belong down here.
Good thing he is.
Mr. Chairman, I am a taxpayer in Arvona Borough. I own property here. I have every right to be here, and a news media has a right to be in any meeting.
I have a piece of history here if you're interested. It's dated September 11th, 1944. I think it was almost a year ago that the mist came from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to the waterworks of our home. I think it almost a year ago that they suggested that the Borough of Colport consider the installation of a waterworks to take water from the upland source in cooperation. Let me read that again.
I'll say it, you won't hear me otherwise.
Yeah, because I got something.
All right. As she said, this is a letter to the Waterworks of Arvona, Clearfield County, to Mr. Earl Spade, who is the president of the council of Arvona.
What year was that, please?
Pardon?
What year, please?
1944.
Did you vote on the
September
minutes?
11th, 1944. Okay. Dear sir, I think it was almost a year ago that we suggested that the Borough of Colport consider the installation of a waterworks to take water from an upland source in cooperation with the Borough of Arvona, because it is always expected that water can be provided for 2,000 population at less cost per capita than for 1,000 population. This was suggested because it is believed that the Colport water plant does not have enough capacity for its consumers, and that additional units are very much needed. It would therefore be a good time for the Borough of Colport to consider construction for the use of a stream supply as soon as the war is over, as well as for the Borough of Arvona, which now has a water supply, but definitely not sufficient because the combined private water supplies cannot provide fire protection. I know that there is some rivalry between Colport and Arvona in a business sense, and therefore I believe it would not be desirable for the waterworks to be managed by the 2 councils. I suggest that a commission form of management be considered with 3 men elected by council, 1 each year from each borough. Colport at present has a reservoir and a distribution system which the Borough of Arvona does not have. It is expected that the reservoirs and distribution systems would be the property and under the management of the Waterworks Commission for each borough unless decided otherwise, and that the Joint Commission would cooperate in the development of the source of supply and the pumping of water. I suggest that the water be pumped because water could then be taken from a lower point on the stream, which is chosen, and having placed the intake at a lower point, more water should be available during the dry season of the year. The use of a low point on the stream would save several miles of pipeline, which pipe construction costs from $1.50 to $3 per foot, for perhaps $10,000 per mile, back in '44. It is important that the water supply be protected, and the state law will require that it be chlorinated. If water is taken from a stream which does not receive mine waste, the expense of softening the water and equipment for softening would not be required. I am sending a copy of this letter to Mr. Edward Renader, President of Council, Colport, PA. If the 2 boroughs are interested in the subject, I suggest that a joint meeting be held by the 2 councils or by representatives, and that the writer be asked to attend. The writer has no preference for any of the streams, except as they will be free from future pollution or mine wastes and to contain sufficient water for the future supply. The writer has been anxious that a public supply properly safeguarded can be obtained by the Borough of Arvona since the occurrence of the typhoid fever cases about 1926. The writer has nothing to sell except the public health, which accompanies a safe and sufficient water supply, Yours truly, MJ Barrett, District Engineer.
And you know, nothing ever come of that, but Colport's water stunk so bad back then, you couldn't drink. It really stunk. I don't know if anybody here remembers how bad that,
It was red.
so, but that's just the history there, it's really interesting.
We're gonna have to remove Donna's presentation and get a motion to approve the minutes of 8/19/24, the regular meeting. We need a motion for approving the minutes.
The date of the very end should be his date, since this is last month's meeting minutes. Shouldn't say October 21st.
Or it should be, should be there.
What you want me to do?
No, I want to change. It says October 21st. That's not the date. This is last month's meeting, and it's August will reflect the next month of September, not October.
Yeah, your minutes need corrected.
We need to correct our minutes for the meeting that says the next regular meeting is October 21st, and it's September 16th, 2024 at 7, or we're on the fire hall.
You want something you want to do?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Jeff, would you mind repeating to the people here what you said to me about Donald after the meeting last night?
What about Don?
You said he didn't know a damn thing about the water system.
No, I said he is a good operator.
No, you
Don't
didn't.
listen to me.
No,
Don't
you
start.
didn't.
Don't
No, you
start with
didn't.
me. I'm gonna tell you, he's an operator. I'll give him that. There's 4 or 5 of us in this room. As a supervisor,
Removed, so I'll make
he's
a
not.
motion.
We never gave us any
Can you
specific.
get this?
I don't have to.
Date change on-
No, I knew that.
I'll speak my piece, don't worry.
I'm sure you will.
Let's just start getting this down.
We need to take.
I have the operations agreement here
Before
too.
we approve the minutes.
Go okay?
Yeah, so just didn't make a motion.
We need a motion for that.
I'll make a oh, you're gonna do?
No, go ahead.
I'll make a motion with the amended date for the next meeting.
I'll second that.
Are you making a motion to approve the minutes?
Trying.
I was gonna say, you can't approve minutes if they're not correct.
That's what we're doing, is correcting them.
They struck the statement that Mrs. Morrison made, so our objections are moot.
Did you strike her, what did you strike? I don't know what you struck from the minutes.
I said we're just gonna have to not have them in because she was up before we approved the motion for the minutes.
No, but you've got 2
You're
different
talking
things
now, we're
going on.
talking last time.
The last meeting, he said he raised an objection on something that she said. And he wants
Well, I
that
thought
taken out of the minutes.
Who said that?
What is in the minutes that she said that
Oh,
they want stricken?
It was when we objected to her, the 1991, whenever she was trying to say,
Well, you have in here that it was already corrected, so to speak, so why strike it? It was already amended in 96, it was already said, so it's not.
If you're leaving that in, I respectfully request that our objections, the 2 objections from Ms. Gallagher and myself be put in the record.
What is your objection, Jerry? What's the
It's not true,
objection?
it's not true.
What's the objection? She said,
We
She had a
already.
letter from 91,
Miss
and then it was said
She
that it was
already
corrected in
explained
96.
why
It was
the
adopted in
objections
96, so
were.
there's nothing to object to.
Yes, there is.
Okay,
They don't know.
read the minutes.
They want to take it out?
He read them to you.
The
Listen to what
statute
you said.
that
Listen to what you
was enacted, Mr. Chairman, stated that at least one, it didn't say only one. And that's what she was trying to purport, and that's why I objected.
And then it was said that it was changed in 96, so it's okay
So,
that she said
well,
that.
what you want us to do is add the fact that there were 2 objections to that.
That's
statement.
correct.
That's
Okay.
fine, but don't strike what she
Okay.
said.
I'll make that, I'll amend my
Strike the whole,
motion to
everything anybody says.
place in there was 2 objections to that.
Thank you.
we need a second on that.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Just a minute.
Public comment.
Public comment? Anybody have anything?
I have one more statement. I think Jeff thinks he knows more about the authority than what he thinks he does. And I think that's why he fired Vicky, because she knew more about the water than he did. Because he doesn't like anybody knowing more than him.
How you doing?
She was on that secretary for 26 years. I sat on boards and I've done them, and I know
No,
more.
no, stop. How long did you say?
26 years old.
Bill, is that the right amount?
For her?
No, not for her.
For Vicky.
For Vicky. 26 years?
I thought it was 23, but.
That's what I
Well,
was
it's
under.
close.
It's close.
I was
Close,
technical. I was repeating something you said, I'm sorry.
She's 3 years
I never
old.
said
I
20.
mean, she's 90-some years old.
But anyway, I think that's why she was fired. She knew more about that system than the guy sitting on the board.
She knew how to manipulate it, that's for sure.
What?
Quit instigating, seriously.
All right, we're gonna move on. We're not,
It's basically bullying. It is what it is. They do what they do. Let them go.
Are we, don't say something to back it up.
I'm surprised we even turned around and got the minutes up there.
not that I know, I don't know, Casey, do you know anything about the bills, or Ryan, if they're getting closer to getting straightened out?
Dan had a few, Dan, you wanna comment on what you have left there as far as calibrating those pucks? Taking a puck out and calibrating the last few meters that were scale roll?
Yeah, it's just a matter of going out and scaling down the gallon,
How many do you have left?
5 or 6.
And how do we know if we're the ones whose meters were checked?
There should be a list of what the work order should be there, of everywhere he goes.
I'm just wondering, because my bill varies by $25 every month. There's 3 people in our house. Everybody's the same. I mean, my bill shouldn't vary $25 a month.
Yeah, I'll get with you and get after the meeting and get some
That
details.
can also be on the variation of the read dates too, because sometimes they're longer and shorter.
Yeah, that's.
We're trying to get caught up.
Yeah, I think we are caught up there as far as reading the same time every month now. We had to, so the last bill, the due date was real short on that. That was so that the RAP system could be updated
And
when
they
we needed it.
can catch up to the regular read date.
Yep,
So are the meters read on the same day every month?
not the exact same day, but within maybe a 3 to 5 day period, I'm gonna say.
3 to 5 days, yeah, I'll get with you after, because 3 to 5 days isn't gonna cost $25 worth of water.
I agree with that.
Anybody else? Okay, engineers report?
Okay, yeah, sorry, I didn't, I was up, you want to go first, okay, I do. I just wanted to check in, I know, I had sent an email, a couple emails, and checking in and everything too. I know I didn't hear it in the meeting minutes whenever it was read though, last month when after I gave the presentation, and then in new business, it was brought up about the discussing of the petition. I know it's in an email, and as I said, whenever, even going back and looking at the video, you can actually see the 1 hour, 30-minute mark. It was brought up in new business, it was questioned to the other board members, if anyone had changed their minds, and after posing the question, Mr. Smith did state that he thought it would be good if they got together to have an executive session on their own to discuss amongst themselves. Mr. Cossack also stated that was a good idea, and then some discussion arose. It was stopped by Mr. Brink, and then a discussion, and then it ended up, Mr. Brink had said, we're going to have an executive session, we'll discuss it amongst ourselves, and then we'll reconvene. I know I touched base with him, he did say you guys did hold an executive session, but that was not one of the things that was discussed there. But then he also stated that Mr. Smith pretty much intended to have the meeting with IME and Big Area Township supervisors in the Urbana Borough, but that wasn't, I don't believe that wasn't passed in the meeting minutes. I don't know if that was that wasn't the intent. I thought it was supposed to be.
It's just gonna be a workshop, so that doesn't require a motion, but it's gonna be a workshop, and we are all supposed to get together. We haven't settled on the time yet, as far as I know.
Okay, that's to say, it's been over a month, that's why I
Yeah.
was just wondering if anything had.
Yeah, I haven't heard from Tom about it.
Okay, if anything had
I
come
think
up.
he was gonna contact Terry when he.
Yeah, I know he talked to, Danny Oshel, but I don't know if they said that they were figuring a date or not.
Yeah, just gotta get it where all 3 of us meet together and
Yeah.
discuss it.
Yes.
All three of the meeting, the
The
Borough,
3
the
minutes.
Township, and the.
Yeah.
3 municipalities.
No, a work session that would be open to the public then?
Carry on.
It would have to be, a work session would have to be open.
Yeah.
That's free.
Any updates on the security deposit box? I know that was brought up last meeting as well too.
There's a motion, we have to have a motion on it.
And then the discrepancy that I brought up at the last one, did we figure out that audit, the check that was made out? Did we figure out what year that was made out for? Was that 23, 24?
She says it was 23.
Yeah, at the end of my presentation last month,
22 was what we got billed for.
that was a 2022.
That was 22.
It was written in 2023 from what I heard.
Okay,
Casey says 23.
And the I got there, was when I started it, was when the bills that needed paid.
Well, 24 didn't do yet
When I started there, the bill that was there that needed.
for the 22. Yeah.
This is new.
You didn't do an audit for 23 yet, have you?
No, they were supposed to send a list of everything we have to send to them
So that check
for the
has
last
to
three.
be,
That was for the 22, the
Yeah,
check list.
22 previous year.
thank you.
There is, wow, there's nothing in it. It's for the audit.
Yeah,
It's just a statement.
huh? And a copy of that. Yeah, I got one.
Yeah. Email from Thomas Brink to our Rental Water Authority. I got in contact with Catalina today about the audit for 2023, and they're going to try and send us a list of the information that they need. They are also going to try and send a copy of the invoice from 2022's audit that was paid in February, I'm assuming of this year.
I thought they'd come to the office and did the audit. They used to when I was there. I guess they don't do those three things. Thank you.
Well, if we did, they didn't send it until February of this year. And all it says invoice, doesn't say what they did or anything.
An invoice to pay them, or who's the invoice?
The auditor,
To the auditor,
Catalone,
pay the
whatever.
auditor.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a year behind.
yeah, they're a year behind in billing.
Oh. Does it include it?
I don't think that ever happened before. Was the money there to pay them? You know, that's another thing I'm wondering. When these bills are going out that aren't right, how much money are we losing on them? I mean, they're saying they're billed for so much and they aren't using that much. Somebody's gonna be paying these bills that are over. And how do we know that's right?
did you guys ever think about doing like online payments? I know like the other ECI, Meg, Glendale, Valley, Reed, you can all pay your bills online through
I
there.
don't think there's enough customers. You know, that will do that. I think we-
There would be just as much as there would be in any other
Sorry,
authorities.
we had Reed Township.
We did discuss that at some
Yeah,
meeting.
we did. It was brought up at one meeting, I don't know which one.
Yeah, I called MuniLink and they tack on 8% onto the fee.
Yeah.
So you can get that down as low as 4%. The customer would have to eat that as a convenience fee.
Last time we checked it last year, whenever we went to that conference at Penn State, the guy turned around and stopped us, and it was 3%.
You can get different companies.
Yeah.
MuniLink is 8%. They're out
Does that
around here.
8% include the credit card?
Yes,
Because a lot of them charge at 3 or 4% now, too,
Yes.
on top of it.
but the more customers you have, the less that number is. So you can get that down as low as 3-4%. That's where they're at. I don't know.
Donna, what does BCI use? What does BCI use for your online payment?
I can't believe it.
What does BCI use for your online payment? Is it Easy Pay?
I'm not sure.
I know they have the
I don't
online.
think they get too many.
I think it's just your check. It's a ACH.
I know, I pay ours on, I pay it online. Pretty sure it's easy. I'm pretty sure it's Easy Pay. Now it goes to the customer, the customer has to pay the different,
Yeah, it's not really good for the customer because their bill's higher.
Yeah, it was that places weren't charging for a bank card, but now the banks started charging for it when you pay your bill, so either way, they're gonna get
Oh,
you.
yeah, that's your government in action.
Yeah.
You know, that.
It is free to you, but what they do is they pass on the interest to the people.
No, on the bank cards, they're charging you out of your account.
No, I mean.
Some of the banks, not all.
The service that you would,
Yeah.
that get would be free to you, but they charge.
The restaurants and stuff where you charge.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any public comment? Bill?
Thank you. I had this written out so I would stay on course and on subject, but I'm interrupted by the letter Donna read. I looked over your shoulder, I don't see copy marked on there anywhere, so how come you end up with original documents and we can't find anything pre-1985?
Probably was in the borough minutes, because that was where the minutes went back then, not in the water authorities.
I filed a right to know though with the borough for all IMA information that wasn't in there.
I have no idea, but I got it if you want to read it. I didn't write it down. Operations agreement.
All right, I'll let that pass. I commented on it. I want to start by apologizing to Mr. Mann for verbally, publicly berating him last time, or the August meeting, I guess it was. I was angry about the on-the-job illicit gossip he was spreading around about me, and I wanted him to feel what it was like to have his capabilities attacked versus my character. You know, I got hurt, it took me 3 years to climb up my stairs, but I did it. You've been here 3 years and you didn't know the 1-800 protocol, and that really upset me. That's why I reacted. But you know what, the more I thought about it after I left here, and as a couple days went by, I started thinking, you know, it wasn't your fault, it was the guy that trained you and the guy that's sitting right here. It's their fault that you didn't know the proper way to do it, and that you repeatedly, while the construction was going on, having leaks that you were having trouble controlling, because you didn't have anybody that told you the right way to do it. If you don't know, you can't do. Now, you gotta make your mind up, because that puts me back here to this. I wanna get on my track. If you're not trained to isolate and properly fix, then I guess, you know, what do? We pay you to learn on the job, I guess. I also blame, and a lot of this I wanted to direct at Mr. Tom Brink, so I'm just gonna talk to the board, because it pertains to all of you. You're all in this together. The mistakes that some are making, you're all liable for. You have to understand that. This isn't a game sitting up here. You have, as was stated so many times, fiduciary responsibilities. And we as customers expect them and we demand them. And that's why I'm here. I want nothing out of this except for the people up there and the workers over there to do their job and to do it correctly and safely. That's safety to us and safety for them. If they're not taught safety, just like that mess in the back of their truck, that kind of stuff, that's gonna catch up. It doesn't free ride forever. It comes to a halt and someone pays. I blame the majority of the board for 9 months of spinning their wheels. To not have hired an office helper by August is just one of the tactics used to bring back the old guard. The same duo that left this system in such ruin, and your own IMA records prove. I would point out that I've witnessed in the past, shut up, Donna, I'm talking. 8+ months constant abuse of authority by the chairman, taking on himself to do things without board approval. The chairman is not to, on his own, make any system decisions, especially concerning expenses. Example, ordering all the employees to a drug test. Not that I have objections or it didn't need done, but it needed brought here. He needed to select someone who's in charge of it, and then he does it and he reports back. He just doesn't arbitrarily do it when he feels like it, or as often as he feels like it. I'm an exact example and victim of such back when I was here. You are not the system manager, Mr. Brink, that's what I would tell him, and none of you are. You are not to micromanage. You and the rest of the board are to hire people who know and can do the job. It's not the chairman or any singular board member's responsibility to approve a right to know. It's a right to know. When we file it, the secretary takes care of all the paperwork on it. If there's cost involved, if I want 20 years and I want them all copied, she keeps track of her time. I pay for the time, I pay for every piece of paper out the door. But I'm entitled, and if I'm willing to pay, it's your obligation as the board to make sure that I get my right to know. You don't approve it and say that I can get it, or delay them and give it to them when we feel like it. It's the secretary's schedule discretion. That's why they give 5 days in the law. So that he, whatever, in 5 days' time, can find it and call the person and say, I have. I've been going around in circles to get stuff. If it doesn't seem like it's gonna cause any harm, boy, I'd get it the next day almost. But if they aren't sure what I'm looking for, then it takes a month. You're lucky I don't go to the Attorney General over this crap. Because he'd come in and he would just ring you all, or she would, I guess it is. It's not the boards, you can only by majority vote. You set parameters to the secretary, like I said, to set the time. Also, how can any of you sit in this board and not know your duties? That goes back to what I just said. That's one of them. The other is, you're in charge of this system. You're the overseers and the guardians and the watchers. We're all hoping you're doing a grand job for us. But if you don't know the 3 simple little permits that this system depends on, the reservoir, the well, and the plant, because they're just basic numbers, they don't change, they're the same. And if you don't know them, then what are you doing up there? You know, I walked up Hockenberry Stream, dry bed with damn layout was growing in it. I'm 70 years old, fellas, I fished and trapped that. There was no water in it. I had to get up to the beaver dams and it was trickling, but the ground and everything sucked it up before it made it the last 2 miles downstream. And if that DEP biologist hadn't called and warned you guys, you wouldn't have opened the damn sluice. They could have caught you with it shut. They took pictures, they knew they had been freshly, just newly opened and hadn't run for a while. You got the Fish and Boat Commission, Game Commission, and DEP, and they're all right here. You kill that stream, there's gonna be people answering. If you never heard about if a stream gets polluted or too much chlorine from some operator not doing things correctly and they kill fish, they get you a big fine and then 10,000 for every tribe that you kill. And sometimes they can put it back to the individuals if they, when they look, determine that you were knowledgeable of this act and you just turned your head. Fiduciary responsibility. You're responsible for what he does, and what she does, and the other workers. Their safety. You guys, you need to take this stuff serious. Instead, the past 9 months have been a stalling disgrace, with more effort spent to divide and stall and to make the IMA fall. To bring back the old guard, that nearly ruined it. We sat here 8, 9 months listening to that man's report, a neutral brought-in operator. He didn't have a damn penny in this. And every meeting, he sat there in his report, this is broke, that needs replaced, this had no maintenance, I can't find this is gone, we don't have that. You've got a business here that you got 585 homes dependent on. You got 5 miles of shallow laid transite pipe from the reservoir to here. 1 oops, and that leak that Jeff responded to, and he called me to come over to Carl's. No one responded. He dialed the emergency number, he dialed Ryan, he dialed Tom Brink. He did it on his phone. I said, well, use Carl's. Maybe they don't want to talk to you, Jeff. So he used Carl's phone and still nobody called. What was it, 8 o'clock at night? What did they think it was going to be, like a conversation? No one called. Gentlemen, one leak on 8-inch main that translated. It's empty, the reservoir's empty, the tank's empty, and what do? We buy from BCIMA? We go water buffalo? We need a weir on the backside, which, if you put it in, it had to have been recent. Because you can't do a doggone formula unless you have knowns. So if you don't know what's coming in, you don't know what to release. And the permit is very, very specific. Stream has priority. If the 100,000 that we're using, God forbid, 50% leaks, and 43,000 to the stream, it's 143,000 minimum a day has to come into that reservoir for us to use a doggone reservoir. If there's not that much, then you have to cut what we use and take from it, and we've got to supplement it somewhere else and tighten the belt. We've had no voluntary conservation issues. edicts, we've had no mandatory conservation. Is the well online?
Ready to go.
Not ready to go, is it online?
No,
Are you using it?
I'm not turning it on, no. Why? Because I don't need it right now.
You know,
Reservoir ain't running over, we're not using a well.
Nope,
Why?
'cause I don't need it.
that's
You do
not what
need
the
it.
permit says.
If you wanna do my job, Bill,
Do your own damn job.
Go get your
Your
license.
permit.
Go get your license.
Listen, your contract, I'm talking, your contract
Yeah.
states that you're responsible for all regulatory compliance. If you are not releasing to the stream, Mr. Beeson, you are not meeting
I
requirements.
am releasing to the stream. I am releasing to the stream. The reservoir is open to the stream.
There
The
is
well
less
is not
coming
running.
in than what is going out, sir. It's a steady decline. We're not in what you call the rainy season.
You've been at every meeting.
I have been
You've
there.
been here every meeting. So you've heard that the membranes are aged.
They were built and designed to take care of a well 10 times as worse as that one.
I don't know about that. Ask our engineers. I'll have you come up to the meetings and you talk to our engineers. I'm not an engineer.
I went to 2 different pilot studies, and I talked to about a half dozen different engineers. They said you could put that trash pump in almost sewage into that, and it would come out. Well, I drank up at Johnstown, it was about a 5.5 iron. Now, you can chew that. It was going in this end, and what you drank come out of here was like what we used to call Huckleberry Kool-Aid. So I know what the plant can do. The fact that it's twice overworked what it's supposed to for 5+ years probably has quite a bit to do. I would say they're a little on the fatigue side, and the equipment's not been maintained because nothing else has been. It's just that every time I come in here, it's one thing after another. I listen and this is broke, that's broke. Okay, do this, and then I come to the next meeting. Did you do it? No. That's when you can't do that. If you're gonna make a motion, see it through. Appoint committees for people, someone to watch over that what you want done is done. That meter for well number 2, by the way, since yeah, I do come to every meeting, was approved in June. And you said, and I quote, "It's not my wheelhouse to hook it up because of the tech, how delicate it is." But it took till just recently to get it and put it in, yeah, because you didn't have it July, you got it just prior to the August meeting.
Agreed. I agree with you there.
You know, you need to have more concern. We don't have a backup. We're gonna take too much from the reservoir. There's not that much coming in. The board has to know this stuff. You have to know because you are liable. That LCRR, you know, this one and that one, they keep praising the 2 that were left over, the one that was left over, the other resigned. But that LCRR was issued in January of 2021, gentlemen. And there was an $87 million a year EPA/PADEP funding for communities that were, that failed and had, too many homes had copper, so that they could meet to comply. When they put the BCI sewage mandate in, it was, you do it, but you know, you dig in your own pockets for it. Well, unfunded mandates they found were real unpopular. So before they did this, to correct the copper poisoning that customers are getting everywhere, all over the nation, because K-copper, buddy, that's what you did in the 40s, 50s, 60s. Now we're paying for it, you know, we're finding too much copper in our system. They're catching themselves, they're saying change it. But you're gonna have 10 grand doing it the way you're doing it. You could have sent a little postcard out, like I said, and said, oh yeah, by the way, we need our one-call update, send your new info too. And all that, you could have had like 20–30% of people going, well, I can't tell what that pipe is, have your guys come up, we'll make the appointment. I asked last meeting how many he had done, he said 20%. That's what he would have only had to have done. Not all the gas and the time and 2 men riding around. You gotta save money, it's our money, gentlemen. It's our money, all of us, everyone that lives and gets water on this system. I'm 2/3 done. Oh, yeah, I wrote, if a dinosaur on computers like me can with a simple click find out all I want about that LCRR and its requirements and timeline and about the 87 million, how come he didn't? How come he didn't? Mr. Leo Drafts, how come you didn't know about the 87 million? And why wasn't IMA put in for like, hey, you know, we're a 50s, 60s community, we're probably 90% copper, help. No, we're now at last minute, October 16th deadline, there's not gonna be any money for Urbana, not for the system. But they're gonna mandate it and say you're gonna have to change it, and then it's gonna be out of our bargain. I'm worried sick about that well number 2 not being used, not available, used, and supplementing and getting used to the mix already so that you can figure out that potassium permanganate, because it's a beast. But that's no reason not to try to do it. All you need is your water quality analysis, and then boom, it's just math.
We monitor those samples right now as we speak. We know what the loadings are for the iron manganese. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the membranes, period.
Well, I wish you would have as much concern about following the requirements of the permitting, the safeguarding of the customers as far as having backup, instead of trying to, like with this meter stuff. I'm listening, yeah, you go ahead. You know, it's the board that makes all the decision on the rates and on meters and who gets what. Yeah, we're gonna put the meter pit in. You make the motion, boom, now it's on him if he doesn't do it. He answers to you about it. But it's not his prerogative to yea or nay any of that. It's yours. And this, I wish Mr. Brink was here. I'm gonna talk to him, I promise you. He's gotta quit taking on his own like it's his. It's not. He is one of 5, and it takes a majority to make stuff move. That means you discuss it, and then you vote on it. And the majority, yea or nay, that's how it goes. Last thing, and you'll be real glad, why you were balking at increasing the size of the board to include extra McCary Township residents as being on that board. If it's all based on this, it's right. George Lucas, when I was operator, rode around with me. And the man told me point blank, Urbana, a little bit like that letter said, but this is in, 98. And he still remembered. He said Urbana knew they didn't have enough customer base. They never would have been able to get the money that they borrowed to get them started unless they had enough people out here that agreed and signed a paper that they were gonna hook on so that the people they got the loan from knew they had a set amount of income coming in and could pay the loan back. It's just good business. Urbana by itself could never have done it. And I have 3 different people that are older than I am that witnessed the supervisors bringing their equipment and helping for all of from Urbana, Swanktown up, all of Rosebud, and all of Blaine City. They wanted fire protection and good water for their people. You know what they did? The same doggone thing they did when they helped us with the hoop up and the St. Basil loop. They donated their time and their equipment. All we had to do was pay for the pipe and the gravel, but they brought it in with their equipment. The cooperation and their endorsements on loans and all of that was why that plant over there is standing. We need the cooperation and these little authorities working together instead of at each other's throat. The last thing I want to say is, please, don't bring the people that left us in this position. Don't even consider bringing them back, and give that lady the raise she deserves and the help that she needs. You got 3 guys out in distribution, him in the plant, and you got her in the office and everybody telling her what to do. You know what? Do your job. Sit down and write the responsibilities to her. This is what we require of you. You're supposed to have done that anyway. The same with that man. and the same with him. That way there's no kicking the can or passing the buck, or whatever you want to call it. But you know what? Stuff gets done. And it gets done right if you're looking. Set up committees, appoint people, keep the foot in the ass going on certain projects. And they report back to the board. They're given so much power, they can't spend money. You tell Jeff, okay, they're gonna do this up there, you make sure it gets done. He can't come up, he's not even supposed to tell him anything unless the guy asks him, because he knows he's an operator, but otherwise, he's just making sure, like, what do you need? How can I help? Oh, hey, we just discovered we need this, but we don't have it in stock, but we're gonna need it. I'll take care of it, you do everything around it. He comes, he makes the phone calls, gets the approval, and the job isn't slow, delayed, and it's done.
I think we need to get moving on here. We have other stuff to discuss.
I'm done. If you don't take this to heart, I'm coming back and repeating it
You're
every
welcome,
meeting.
Mayor, anytime.
Just one quick comment. Speaking for myself, I am very thankful that someone came and checked my pipes. Thank you.
The levy coffer inspection.
I'm very thankful that someone came and did that. Thank you for doing that for me.
All right.
Pay for it, Karen.
Time for the
I
engineer's
did, but
report.
you know what?
Let's move
I
on.
appreciate that 100%. And I have another suggestion, just a quick one. I can't relate to what you're saying. Why don't you appoint a community advisory board?
Why, so you guys can run it?
No, I don't even want to run it. I'm just telling you that you need, we have all these people who are very concerned about the water, the company, how it's run, all this kind of things, but you don't need more board members. You need an advisory board that people can come, you can take to them what you need and get people to support you instead of fighting all the time. Come on. You know, laugh, go right in.
Larry,
Go right
I'm
in.
gonna laugh because here's what I
laugh.
got for you. It's hypocrisy.
Oh, it is?
Yes, January 18th,
Oh, wow.
2016.
2016.
Yeah. Vicky's report. IMA received a letter from Attorney Kashubik representing Jeffrey and Nicole Gallagher requesting rules and regulations and meeting minutes. All was sent to him and the IMA's attorney, Ron Repack, for review. Jeffrey Gallagher also requested a copy from IMA rules and regulations. He was given a copy and told if he had any more questions or requests, he would have to contact an attorney. Received in an email from Donald Morrison, his term expired on the IMA board and he will not be reapplying this time. So Joanne McGarvey, the borough secretary, has been notified and will re-advise for the new member in the Arvina Borough. Board will need to reorganize when we have a full quorum. April 18th, Dan Smith motions to sign a right-of-way easement agreement for IMA to turn and take over a private water line in Jackson Street, 65 Dix Lane. Terry Whetstone seconds, all in favor. Bob Birchfield takes easement to Matt Sharp to sign and will return to IMA. Dan Smith, do you remember that? By any chance?
Yeah.
Do you know that that pipe is actually sticking out of the ground right now and we could walk up right now and turn and kick that pipe?
I did not know
And it's
that.
been like that for the past 15 years and you had approved it? You took somebody's recommendation, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Further in the meeting, it says, Ken attended the borough meeting and Jeffrey Gallagher and Bob Birchfield were both had submitted their names for the IMA board. We have attorney's fees and are still in discussion with Gallagher and the pressure he has on his line. He is not releasing his money to the contractor because of the water, and he is getting a new attorney. Borough needed to be aware of this matter. The Carrier Township interested candidates are to give a letter to the supervisor, and then they present the letter to the borough. Tom Adams is serving on the IMA board currently for Victoria Township. My question is, how in the hell would this even turn out to be in here that we have attorney's fees and discussions with the Gallaghers and pressure on the line and they're not releasing money to the contractor? Because of what? They shouldn't know nothing about that. Plus, that's not even real. We have letters from the attorney that say differently.
Well, you're reading these minutes, is that what you're doing?
I'll get there.
Okay, ask him.
Old business. Oh, excuse me, hold on, gotta read the date. May 19, 2016. Old business. Karen asked if we had heard anything or borough heard anything from the Ethics Commission on board members. Two Victoria Township applicants conflict according to commission on board members. Two Buchanan Township applicants, conflicting, according to REPAC. Mike Cossack submitted a letter after he was called in a February meeting to get on the board. At that time, he was getting ready for vacation and submitted his letter of interest. And when he got back, and the borough denied his letter because it was after the advertised due date. IMA borough all need to meet with the attorney present to get things worked out and communication on the same page. Buchanan Township said that all letters of interest should go to them, and then they give the recommendations to the Arvada Borough on members. They were not notified that Birchfield or Gallagher submitted their letters. IMA bylaws, which we can't find them, but they are stated in here. IMA bylaws state that at least one Buchanan Township customer should sit on this IMA board. And Tom Adams is currently the representative here in the town called PJ Patterson. Clear up some issues before the next borough meeting. Is that correct? Karen Warfield motions to try and have Ron Repack come to the meeting at IMA for the borough, but no motion was carried. Karen Warfield steps down as the chairman and motions to make Donald Morrison water operator in charge and hand his license immediately, and Terry Whetstone seconds. Tom Adams opposes. Karen and Terry talked to BCIMA board members and Rick Hoover, employee, about merging with IMA and helping out Donald Morrison as an active water operator. They agreed to help out. Ken Caldwell says that was an illegal meeting between BCIMA. It was never advertised. And Terry Whetstone said that it does not have to be advertised if there's no quorum. All meetings have to be advertised, and Karen, would you like to try and see that in writing? Merging with BCIMA is just preliminary. Start with the agreement and will take many years to try and get permits, engineering, attorney fees, etc. IMA board should meet with the BCIMA board, and the borough should be public information. Karen Warfield steps down as the chairman and motions that the board accept Ken Caldwell's verbal resignation from November of 2015. Turn keys in, beeper in immediately. Terry Whetstone seconds, Tom Adams then. Karen Warfield talked to Nick Blunt at DEP and has an operator change form. Ken Caldwell and Terry Whetstone are recording this meeting. Ken Caldwell asked Karen Warfield, did she turn around, step down, and make a motion to turn around, hire her brother Donald Morrison as the active water operator immediately. She did, and that's an illegal motion. The ethics board is already investigating the IMA for this reason, and this is an illegal vote. Terry Whetstone then motions to turn around, hire Donald Morrison as the acting water operator and hang his license immediately. Tom Adams opposes. We need a second. Karen Warfield turn around calls Dan Smith to turn around, enter the meeting to try and get a vote. Dan Smith is told what is going on briefly at this meeting. He does not feel comfortable voting, not knowing the full story, and not being included in these meetings with BCI, and missing the IMA meeting that night. He is not voting. Motion is not carried and table pending a full quorum, and Ken Caldwell is the licensed water operator on record. We didn't have a meeting in July. This meeting was in July 18th, 2016 was my first meeting. After reading the minutes, the turn around comes back. Karen Warfield states that Donald has always been the water operator in charge, and he has never removed his license from IMA. Donald Morrison, water operator, and Ken Caldwell was hired as an assistant water operator. Ken Caldwell was turned around told when he started if and when he got his water license, he would turn around, hang his license, and the water operator, he would be compensated $300 per month. Later on, Donald Morrison states he's received a phone call from the Pennsylvania State Police accusing him of tampering with Mahaffey Lab sample bottles that were in the IMA office. He has been on the board. He has been a board member for 25 years and an IMA employee for 15, and he explains the ramifications of his license, etc. He did not tamper with these IMA sample bottles. In May of 2016, Terry Whetstone and Karen Warfield turned around and told Nyla Henry to give Donald Morrison her keys to try and come over to the IMA office to get in and get information for Karen Warfield to do a change of operator form for DEP. Tom Adams says that Donald Morrison was not accused of it, and other board members and employees also received phone calls from the Pennsylvania State Police questioning them about the tampering sample bottles. Vicki Johnston turned and asked why she didn't get a call from Karen about the information or wait until business hours. This is the stuff that's been done behind employees' backs. All employees and board members should turn and have been questioned about tampering sample bottles, and a special meeting should have been called. This is a very important issue, messing with sample bottles that are reported to DEP monthly. Donald Morrison received a letter from the Ethics Commission saying that he was exonerated from all charges and he has been dismissed. He did have to complete his financial interest form correctly whenever he did, and Nyla verified that he did and turned it in. They are all on file. Donald is still an employee and still has his water operator's license signed in the IMA. Ken Caldwell told when he was hired that whenever he got his water license, he would turn and get paid for them to be a water operator in July. In July of last year, which was in 2016, Ken Caldwell received his water license and started getting paid. August 15th, 2016. DEP available operator form. This form is sent out to IMA to be completed and sent back to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania every year. It is a list of available water operators for Arvona Municipal Authority. Donald Morrison was added to the operator form on 1/3/15, replacing Jeffrey Parks. In July of 2015, Kenneth Caldwell was added to this operator available form by receiving his water license. That's in July of 2015. Sunday, May 15th, 2016, Kenneth Caldwell was removed by Karen Warfield as an operator available, and Donald Morrison was listed as the operator for IMA. Monday, May 16th, 2016, there was a motion that was never passed by the board for Donald Morrison to be the water operator in charge. Donald is on as-needed employee with license also hanging for IMA, but Kenneth Caldwell's license are hanging in the office, and Ken Caldwell has been doing DEP reports, lab testing, and submitting DEP reports. Due to notification from DEP, Kenneth Caldwell received an email to be added back onto the available operator form in June of 2016. In August, the available operator form had Kenneth Caldwell and Donald Morrison listed as the operators. Dan Bender was also notified by DEP, and state ethics was at IMA again. Ken Caldwell brought up about operator on record, and that he's been signing DEP reports for months illegally. Karen Warfield turned and asked he was signing, and if he knew they were illegal, Kenneth Caldwell was not aware that his name was removed from the available operator form on Sunday, May 15th, 2016 at 4:05 p.m. The meeting Monday, May 16th, 2016, he is still a water operator for IMA. Donald Morrison would like an executive session to discuss employee matters or keep it in public meeting. Meeting is still in session. Donald was questioned by Ken about taking the backhoe down to Arvona and digging to try to find a leak. He was not going to do it on company time. Donald was doing it to help out the borough. Donald proceeded to tell Nyla Henry to go ahead and read her letter that she had typed up. Nyla Henry received a phone call from Kenneth Caldwell asking her if she was working all Fridays. She said yes. She said, and Ken Caldwell said he needed to turn and talk to her to see what she knew, letter attached. Ken Caldwell also asked Nyla if she was recording him on Friday, and she said no, she did not record him. She went right home and turned and typed everything out. As of the last July 2015, Donald and Rick Holmes agreed whenever Ken Caldwell received his water license, Donald would turn back out and work as needed to turn and help IMA out. Personal lashings at each other to turn needs to end, and we need to turn and move on as a business. And think about getting customers water and hiring 2 full-time employees. Donald says for the last year, Ken came at him and his family with a vengeance and could have been fired. Ken was told about his attitude and how he treat people, and he took it personally and attacked the board. Donald would like to turn and work together, and the board can turn and decide and let him know what is decided. Donald Morrison leaves the meeting. So every time something happens here and you don't like it, there's a little bit of controversy that you turn and try to drag this place to BCI. Why?
There's benefits to it, but you don't want to. To you, it was a failure.
I don't even know what your story is. Why don't you turn around and enlighten people?
You said it was a failure if we tried to do that. We could be failing. It should have been about you or me or us.
Where did it say it said about failure? Are you putting words in my mouth now?
No, you said it.
When?
To me. You said it to me. If it's just you and me, I know.
Okay.
My word against yours.
All right.
Yeah, but you said it. You said it at a meeting. It didn't, obviously in the minutes, or you didn't read it. Okay, you said it in a meeting. It didn't read it failure.
Mr. Governor, you forgot to say one thing.
Yes.
You didn't tell us what the result of the ethics committee was.
Yeah, we know what the result was, it's public information, you go online and look at it. You know darn well I was fine.
Yeah, but all this controversy 7 years down the road, and you're turning around trying to do the same stuff. Why don't you turn around and try to change your tune?
You have.
We're losing, no, this is it.
No, I'm not.
We're losing 1.5 to 1.8 million in lost water sales. Do you know that equates to $12,000 to $15,000 a month?
And that's my
that your brother was pissing away.
Well, yeah.
All right, it's time we get moving.
No, hold on, Mike. If you've got between $12,000 and $15,000, if you turn around and save that for 4 or 5 months, can you not turn around and pay for the new filters that you're turning around talking about right now?
Yeah.
Another question, you're turning around trying to save all this money we're turning around trying to get different venues or vendors or all this stuff. $146,000 I turned around and told you last meeting on the distribution system, and we're not turning around and putting a bucket in the ground. We are set to go with all the stuff, but we don't have a competent water operator or a competent laborer to turn around and do the job that you're asking him to do. You've been here for 3 years, or almost 3 years, and you're telling me you don't know how to operate it?
I didn't say that.
If I asked you to turn around for him to dig, is he allowed to turn around and dig? Because the last meeting you turned around and told me no.
Not on main roads, that's what I said. We talked about work on State Route 53, right?
Okay, exclude 53. There are projects for the past 2 years that we turn on motion, that we got motion as a board, Tim, you can verify. We turn on motion to turn on and have these projects done, because before that, nobody was even turning on looking for them.
And bought the material.
Yeah, we have the material.
Yeah,
Well, this whole thing's a sham. Start working for the customers to turn around and make sure that we have adequate water. That's all Mr. McCuster's asking for.
And backup.
Just to be competent. It's not a pissing match or a blame game or whatever it is, but if the people that were on the guard 23 years and haven't run clean into the ground and they're just collecting a paycheck, that's piss poor. And you know well that he's turned around and told you that we were turning around growing by leaps and bounds.
Told me?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay, whatever.
All right, it's time to move on here. Engineers report.
And then they, as long as you're ahead.
He's gonna say what he wants to say. All right.
On the water line project, we had a walkthrough on September 12th and generated a punch list. We're waiting on CNR to come back and address them. They had indicated it'd be probably within 2 weeks of that date, so that was last Thursday. So they're not in this week, they should be in next week. Most of the punch list items is related to yard restoration. We had some settlement pits that need to be backfilled and regraded and seeded and mulched again. But that's the majority of them. We did have a couple other areas that other than meter pits, that they're gonna address, Larson's yard, tie-in with bombs. I know there's a couple more, just.
Yeah, they gotta take care of that one where the water's running in the basement.
Yes, that's on the list, that's with Tosix. Yes, they're on the list to go in and not only fix up his grading and stuff, but also to make a permanent repair to the leak that he had.
And the 3 meter pits are on the
Meter
punch
pits are on the
list, right?
list. There was a few mushroom caps that need to be installed in meter pits, and then they're gonna give you a listing of the meter pit, the meter numbers and the corresponding addresses that go with them. There was a few minor paving issues that PennDOT brought up, but, so they're on the punch list, and some stabilized areas that need to be regraded and fixed. So, with the punch list, all that's remaining, the project is essentially substantially complete. It can be used for its intended purpose. So I do have a substantial completion form here to get approved and signed. I don't know if anybody wants to look at that.
Do we have anything in the contract or for along the state roads and private yards and stuff about how many months for the grass and stuff to take care of, that they have to come back?
This project has a 2-year warranty.
Oh, it's a 2-year?
2-year warranty.
Okay. Good enough.
So, yeah, I'm requesting approval of the substantial completion certificate for the project. CNR submitted an application for payment number 4 in the amount of $9,015.50, which essentially was the asphalt paving for the project. I also, once their application for payment is approved, I can prepare PennVest payment request number 4 and submit it for reimbursement. We also have a cost proposal from CNR to provide remote read capability at the system meter pits. And that would include installing solar power and alarm dialer at each meter pit, and associated equipment, materials and labor that go along with that. And their proposal is for $21,260. We do have almost $20,000 of available PennVest funding from other line items that wasn't spent, such as there's a little bit of money left over in that administrative costs, legal fees, financial accounting charges, and interest during construction. With them completing the project as quickly as they did, that minimized the interest charges for the project.
Well, that's 20,000, does that include for money for those, the solar power?
Yes, that's all, that's what that is.
That's after the 20,000 or out of the 20,000?
Their proposal is $21,260. And I'm just saying that there is almost $20,000 of PennVest funding.
After they're paid for?
No,
Before they're paid for, so that'll use it up?
Yes.
Leo, does that incur the 153, is it 153,000 that we currently have on the front end that we could turn around and take?
That is your money, that's reimbursement from prior costs that you've spent.
Well, I'm saying, what you're talking about is turning on using up the $19,000 and then we got a $21,000 bill, so you're taking 3 towards it, but we still have that 153,000. We can change back.
Yes.
That's what I was telling you when we started, I think that money ought to be earmarked for other projects.
I agree, you could do that. I guess, I just caution that, you know, from the time we hit 95% of the funding, PennVest is gonna invoke their holdback, which means they're not gonna pay you the last 5% until the project's closed out. So you may have to cover some bills in that interim time period, but once the project's closed out, that's your money, you can do whatever you want with it.
Isn't that what this paper here is for?
That's just substantial completion. That's just substantial completion.
Is
Not
there a
final.
final?
That's not final.
That's not final.
There's one more after that.
Yeah. Yeah, substantial completion basically means the project is complete to the point that it can be used as intended.
So we would need a motion to have our vice chairman sign this tonight?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that our vice chairman, since you're in charge, signs a certificate of substantial completion.
I'll second that.
I have a question, please. Is there still money outstanding to CNR?
Yes.
There's 9,000 here on this estimate. What's the fifth estimate, what's it gonna be?
So we're still holding 5% retainage on CNR of $69,717.
Right, plus the 9,000, plus the estimate number 5 yet, right? Shouldn't be much on that.
And they may, I don't know what they've been able to, because we got the paving on this one.
Paving's on this one?
Yeah.
So it can't be a whole lot on the
If,
fifth
yeah,
estimate.
I mean,
Yeah.
Well, that's what the $9,000 estimate is for the paving.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Dixon, the reason I asked that, my neighbor Carl, he still hasn't been taken care of. It's sinking in, looking a little bad. They
That's
didn't
what the
see.
punch list is about.
Yeah, it's on the
We
punch
have
list.
him on the punch list, which is a part of this.
That's all I was getting at. You're gonna have someone go around and inspect it every.
But that's not, that's on them, that's not a pay item. Restoration and stuff's on those
That's on
guys.
them.
That's on the
Yeah, punch
contract.
list
Are we
restoration.
gonna, are you the board gonna have an IMA personnel go around and personally check to make sure?
Or he did. I went around, I couldn't go with him because I couldn't walk, but Dan went with the engineer, PennDOT, and CNR.
And when they tell us they're done, we'll do another inspection.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, it's fine, that was just,
Before you
that was
There
just
was
for
a
the punch
2-year
list.
warranty on that
Yes,
stuff?
and everything.
Yeah, there's a 2-year warranty on that stuff too.
I couldn't walk around, I didn't,
I couldn't be.
All right, that's.
my legs killing me.
I have a copy of the articles of incorporation. Bill wanted to know how I got them. When I was the secretary of the Water Authority, I copied a lot of stuff because I do history books on the borough. I have done 10 books on different things that have, that went on in the borough. They're very interesting. If you want to buy some, they're $10.
Just authorize you to say, okay, we all agree with it.
Well, I have a suggestion, Mrs. Morrison. If you have so much of the IMA history, why don't you, as a leading upstanding citizen and the water maker mother, provide the copies to these people so they can make copies and they can actually have records?
Well, I'm glad to do that because I have a copy machine. I wouldn't be charging for them. How many would like?
You charged them to be the secretary, you only pay volunteer in IMA history.
What?
You received a paycheck.
$50 a month and I had to fight for that and I did the work at home.
It was over 100 and you made the secretary at the office do your work.
You're a crock of shit. I never saw a person like you.
Well,
All right, let's move on. We need to make a motion on the punch list and on the fourth payment for the CNR.
We need to vote on that one for you, authorize you to sign.
We need
Your
to,
motion, Dan Smith second, we all,
We need to vote.
then I need to vote.
we need to vote on me signing this paper for Leo.
Yeah. I,
You made the motion and
I
Dan
seconded it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion that we accept, or how do we want to do it, authorized payment for number 4?
Yes.
Not, in the amount of $9,015.50.
I'll make that motion.
I think you made the motion.
I did.
I'll second
Go ahead,
it.
you can make it.
I'll second it. I'm good.
Blame me.
So Leo, on that, where do we stand with paying the people out of Penn Vest that need paid?
I'm not sure I understand what you're,
So who all submitted pay apps? 'Cause there's more than just CNR that needs to pay. The other,
and
the other people on that?
then there were the
They're already
fire
paid?
employees too.
Okay,
And that's something there, that little operator should not be sticking his nose in, the board takes care of that.
okay.
Understood?
Well, he's calling me.
Yeah. they
The
should call you.
other CNR called me, I passed it on to Tom Brink.
Hey.
I don't know, call me after
know
hours.
about it. I was authorized to sign that at the last 2 meetings.
Okay,
All we had to know was know about it.
I'm not sticking my nose in it, I just dealt with the
Right.
phone calls, that's all I'm saying.
He shouldn't have called you, I already talked to him.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, concerning the solar flyby reader for the meter pits, you did vote to get those?
Yeah, that's just for the pressure reducing valve, right? For the ones that get the solar panels.
No, we didn't vote for that.
Well, here's my question. How are you gonna read that in the snow? Mine's ground level and the little eye is right there, and you get snow and ice, it's a plastic lid, how am I'm not gonna be responsible for clearing it.
But that's not for them, that's for the 2 valves.
Well, okay, well then my question remains, how are you gonna read my meter? Am I gonna be estimated in the winter? Because I'm not digging through ice.
No,
That's
if they're the same thing the Americans use, and you read through the snow and the ice. They don't even get out, they drive by and they read them.
We don't have radio read.
Yeah, we don't have radio, we
Well, I
have
know that, but I'm
right?
saying,
No, you'll have to try and bust the ice off the top of that.
it's gonna have to be a topic because it's gonna be a problem for the building unless you talk about it and establish what you're going to do before you need to do it.
Jeff says it doesn't read through snow and ice, I thought it did.
Well, there you go.
So are we gonna get estimated bills then?
No, you'll just have somebody come in your driveway and try and take the top of your lid until it clears off, and then hopefully they can.
If they don't know where it's at.
They maybe couldn't.
Well, the only other option that we do, and we did do this years ago, is they turn and bought blue plastic, or blue fiberglass post poles. And turn and stick them in your yard, stick them in your driveway, in an area where they know.
Well,
where
we plowed
it's
anyway, so it doesn't matter, but, yeah. Is there a set?
Mr. Chairman, just a clarification. There was an assertion, and I want to take some pressure off of your honorable engineer. Is the engineer responsible for getting grants?
Not really, but they can look into grants.
He lets us know when they're available. When there's another round coming up.
Isn't it the board's responsibility to get grants?
Well, I don't know, over there, the engineer brings it to the board. And then we decide, you know, the engineer does all the checking out.
I just thought it was undue burden for the engineer when I think it's a responsibility of board members. That's just my opinion, means nothing.
I can add to
I know
that.
there are different places.
I do know.
They have, you know,
His office receives notifications, and then their people are supposed to put it down to, like, people like him, like, is there anything in this that your system, your people can use? Because if they get the grant, they get a big chunk of it. So, you know, it's impetus for them to secure grants and funding for small communities with problems, like our big tank needing replaced and all the wells online that have been sitting there 17 years idle and not hooked up. And I didn't hear the water operator. What was the water pump this month, please?
I don't have that number, I'll get it to you. I'll call you and give it to you.
Do you have an idea, Dan?
No, I didn't look at it.
All right.
It should be in the operator's report at the meeting.
I can get it for you, give me.
No, it should be tonight at the meeting of what was, pumped this month.
Okay.
You know, we're trying to keep track of how much is pumped and what is lost. If we don't get it, we don't have any idea.
Mr. Dixon, my curiosity is,
You
did
know,
you,
and then the reservoir has run over, we're not using out of the well or blending the water, there's gotta be a problem with that.
do we realize a decrease in leakage with the connection of the loop getting out of that bottom? I was curious on how much was noticed.
That was a $1.7 million recommendation, and there wasn't a gallon of water saved.
Very big time.
Because my
What
cat
year is
lines
that?
died.
$1.7 million project to turn around and put these new lines in, but whenever they were trying to put on, there was no water loss savings.
Thank you.
And we need an all in favor for that fourth payment in the punch list of $9,051.50 that, Tom and Dan motioned and seconded. We need an all in favor on that.
Aye.
Aye. All right, I guess we're going to go to the operator report, or office report, operator report first.
You want to accept
Operator.
the change order?
All right, CIPs that were scheduled in August, we changed those to EFNs at the last minute, because of some SCADA problems that were happening at the plant. So, on August 23rd, which is a Friday, the SCADA system at the plant crashed. We had a phone call into Paul Filtration, who then relayed that information to Rockwell. Rockwell could not do anything to fix the issue. So Paul recommended they would come on site for a one-day inspection with a team to see what upgrades were needed. That inspection cost would have cost IMA $7,200 or $7,800. I don't have it in front of me right now.
$7,200, it's the fourth one, or the fourth.
Okay. So I reached out to DJ Lamming. That was the only person that I knew in my years of experience that was a computer guru when it comes to water and wastewater systems. I brought DJ in on an emergency call out, and there was a SCADA malfunction, and DJ's report, which I emailed to the board, outlined a lot of the issues. One being the SCADA software that was installed when the plant was built was manufactured and sold by Rockwell 20 years ago, and then stopped being sold by Rockwell 15 years ago. There's no upgrades to there's no immediate fixes to their SCADA system. It would need an upgrade. And there's a bunch of different things in there. The supervisory panel in the office has physical hardware that can only be bought on third-party sites such as eBay. I don't like to rely on those if we were to have problems with them. So I did speak to Leo regarding this a few weeks ago after it happened, and what my recommendation to the board is to come up with a subcommittee. And I think that I reached out to you, Jeff, on some information on the wells that were proposed, and you said to me that the SCADA upgrades were a part of that project.
Leo, wasn't that part of the, it was, what, $400 and some $1,000 to try and upgrade, and then it was $750,000 for the Taj Mahal water, or the water.
I don't remember the dollar amounts, but yeah, we were.
It was like
started out as
$1.1,
just the
$1.2 million.
wells, And then it grew, and when after Chris come up to do a walkthrough and stuff.
Didn't we use that information there to apply for a grant?
I think that was the last grant application we did, which,
We probably still haven't heard back from
no,
them.
it was supposed to be this month, and it was supposed to be last month and the month before, and they keep postponing it out.
We don't have the help down there, I guess.
Well, they
So-
don't have that.
That's what they say over there.
So I guess my ask of the board is to, based on what Jeff said and what Leo said, is to come up with a subcommittee. And because the project has grown from what Leo has stated, to see when was the last time this was evaluated, Leo?
Chris was up several months ago, I think.
This been about a year.
Has it been a year? Okay.
So, based on that information, let's see if maybe there's things in there that you don't need anymore, or that you don't want, or that you can put off, and kind of prioritize what needs to be done. Obviously, the plant needs to run. And Chris, Leo, who in your office is the guy who put those projects or those priorities together? Is that you, or is that Chris?
That would be Chris mostly.
Okay.
He's our process expert.
I would like a subcommittee to meet with Chris, as well as myself, to go over what that project started as a year ago and what we would like to do today. If you're gonna eliminate some things, if you're gonna add some things, prioritize some things, and go out and try to phase that out into maybe 3 or 4 phases to break up the money. I don't know if you're gonna do the membranes as part of that, the SCADA upgrade, but the SCADA system, from what I'm being told, that was the first time that we've had issues with it, as far as crashing. Skid A is having communication failures with the SCADA system as we speak. That happens about once a week, maybe once every other week. So there are things in there that I would like to see done so that the plant can at least run. So if you would like to get with me after the meeting and set up a date and time with Leo. I know, Leo, you said what, Chris is booked through the end of the month. It would have to be at some point in October.
Yeah, unless, he might be able to free up a day, I guess it just depending on what day it is.
Okay.
How serious is this crash?
Yeah, it worries me. Well, let's just put it this way. The plant ran, right? It was running in manual, and it would continue to run. But somebody had to be there. We would have to man it every minute that it was running. So continuous monitoring says that you have to run samples every 15 minutes when your online analyzers cannot record a reading. So your turbidity readings, your chlorine readings, they would have to be pulled every 15 minutes because those monitors were not sending to an historical data sheet.
And this is what you're doing now?
I'm sorry?
That's what you're doing every 15 minutes?
No, we avoided that by bringing in DJ Lamb, and DJ was actually able to fix the software malfunction. But noted in his report that there was more than just one thing that he would like to see, or I guess to bring it up to par.
Thank you.
Yeah. So going back to that, the EFMs, I decided to do over the CIPs because I didn't want the plant to be offline because of those issues for several hours. So it was a smaller cleaning. The CIPs have now been moved to the last week of September, first week of October. We do one of those one week, one the other week. The reservoir is not full. The stream release is open. Now, I have a few questions for Jeff and for Bill. Bill, Jeff, Leo, when was the last time the well ran?
I can't answer.
Last year. It's been running every summer since I've been on this board.
Okay. You're 100% sure of that?
Well, I know it was running there a couple of times because
No.
we got over pumped.
You said it was run every summer, so what was the answer to the question? Did it run last summer? It did not. Did it run the summer before that? No. Did it run the summer before that? Okay, so at least 2 years, maybe 3. Okay.
Wouldn't there be reports?
Yeah, there is, and I'm gonna look into that as well.
Thank you.
He's trying to develop himself to understand what he's doing, and he's all by right. If the people that were working here weren't turned on told by a supervisor that they needed to turn on and do this,
And
how do we
DEP
know?
didn't push
How do we
it.
know? We don't.
They're-
We only know what we're told.
I agree with that.
I totally understand where you're
Okay,
coming from.
but my next thing is, Bill, I'm being told, not only from the previous operator, but Leo, the engineers, Chris, that our membranes are old, right? Jeff, have you say that to me?
I've been told that they were old too.
Okay, so I've been told again that the reservoir has operated as low as 17 feet below full. Can you verify that?
It's only 19 foot deep.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's
The
been
the inlet's 5, so
Okay.
it's been 15 feet down.
It's been 15 feet low?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's pictures in 2015 of Karen seeing the inlet.
Okay.
I'd like to add something to your thing, Ryan. The DEP sanitarian I had, his name was Tom Turkson.
Mm-hmm.
He came every month. I didn't know until the day he showed up. I mean, the office would get a call and they'd say, hey, Bill, you know, he's coming, be here. And then I did what the man said, but every month I was not on the reservoir. I only had bad, nasty wells to work with.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the DEP guy today, if he's even just half of the guy I had, he would have been up there and he would have straightened Donald up, he would have straightened you up, saying, no, you're not meeting permitting requirements. So I don't blame you 100%, and don't think I am. You have the guy before you and his history of how it was done.
Well,
and
I'm
then you
only
keep on
speaking,
stepping in.
I'm only speaking about right now.
Yes, sir.
And so I have been on the phone with Nick, and there's actually a meeting that we're gonna set up here in the next week or two. Nick's supposed to give me some dates, so that our guys can pick when we're available. And he's gonna come up and go over those permits with me, because I'm not the best on knowing those permits word for word, right? I've been here for 9 months, but they're written in a way that there can be a lot of different stuff in there. But what I'm told, and I have a note here to double check with Nick tomorrow, is that our permits are not written in a way that you have to monitor what's coming into that reservoir.
Yes, they are.
Okay, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I'm gonna check into that tomorrow.
The question is, how can you do a formula if you do not have knowns?
The formula is you have to release 48,000 gallons into that
No,
stream.
you're wrong.
Okay.
Numbers
I'll look into it.
43,000, but that is the minimum. Everything is based on intake.
Okay.
It
I
doesn't
will look
matter
into
over
that
the
tomorrow.
spillway, it's intake, what's coming into it.
Okay, I will look into that tomorrow. I'm not gonna say you're wrong here until I hear from Nick, but that's not what I was told on the phone 2 weeks ago when we had our telephone conversation.
What did he tell you?
He said that you're required to release 48,000 gallons a day, every day, no matter how much is coming into the reservoir. Every day.
That's incorrect.
Okay, well, I'll look into it.
Because it also states, if intake is less than outtake, stream has priority. Meaning, we're going to people, tough luck, you're out of water, we gotta shut the valve. Now, they wouldn't write that if the intake was.
That doesn't make sense to me, Bill, in the sense that any reservoir then would have to stay at a certain level. It would never be able to drop.
That's not, no, you've got your mains, but when you get to this level, that means that your intake, just like this whole system, my entire life, I was born and raised in this town. Anyone says it was Hockenberry Kool-Aid 365, they're lying. We had spring and fall thermocline turnover, we had occasional algae blooms, we had leaks. But most of the time, yeah, it was great. But you know what else I remember, even from just a little guy, was voluntary conservation, and then when it got low, like September, October, and the rains didn't come, mandatory conservation. And you know what? You didn't have to send letters out, you just word of mouthed it, because the guy went house to house reading meters. One guy read them all in a day and a half, Mr. Richards, Mr. Longlegs. You know, it's simple. You can't figure what to release unless you know what the heck's coming into it.
I have to release 48,000 gallons a day, that's what I'm telling you. I have to release it, no matter what. If the intake's bringing in 30.
It's 43,000, and that's the minimum. It's based on a formula, 0.066 times 1.1 times 1.1 times 1.1. That's what the permit reads. And how can you do it unless you know your gallons per day coming into the reservoir, so that you can do your formula? Because it might be up to 56,000 to the stream.
I will look into it, I'm not saying that you're wrong, I will look into it. Leo, are you aware of that being written that way?
I would have to reread the permit again.
Okay.
I urge all of you to read it, so that, because, you know, if you kill that stream and you came so close, people, I mean, may apples take a couple years to grow before they can get to where they put off fruit.
That's kind of what I'm getting at about not using the well. If that's only bringing in 120,000 gallon a day, we gotta release 48, and we're putting 100 in a distribution. We gotta pick up another 25, 30,000 a day out of the well.
Yeah, or you're losing ground on your reservoir, I agree with
But
that.
we can't cut back on the discharge of the stream.
I agree with that.
Now, if things running over, you don't need to, but once it quits running over, you gotta start pulling out of that well.
Understood.
And I'm not saying a big amount, it's 20, 30%.
I'm not disagreeing.
Is that being checked every day?
The release now, yes.
At the reservoir?
Yes. The release is being checked every day after, starting probably 3 weeks ago, when we mounted the measuring devices on the stream, on the V-notch. Because the one thing that Nick stated to me when he was out from DEP is that there was no measuring device on the V-notch. So when you put that measuring device on there, you basically can then identify the days where you're over 48,000 gallons a day. You can say, hey, in April, we just had a huge rain, the reservoir's full, you were sending 160,000 gallons to the stream. What will then happen is if you can prove that data, you can, when you reapply for your permit, you can show them historical data from years and years and years of every day that you had those readings. And that 48,000, from what he's telling me, can be lower because they're giving you credit for the days that you were over.
If you put more into the stream later on down the road, you're gonna get more of a credit.
Yes.
So if we hadn't been turning it open on that at all for the past 2 or 3 years, you're hurting yourself. Or you're falsifying documents by just writing down a number.
I don't know how it was measured, but there was no measuring device there. The measuring device on Leo's thing, you have to identify, what is it, a half inch, Leo?
I don't recall, I'd have to look.
I think it's a half inch on that viewer, not just 48,000.
Yeah.
You say it is being checked daily, then?
Yes,
Is there 3 employees in a pickup that turn over that reservoir every time?
I don't know how many go out there.
But there's 3 that ride around the pickup, turn around reading meters with a touch read gun. And they each turn, get out and turn, take a turn. Does that seem fast and efficient?
I'm not gonna get into that, but I was asked to look into the payments to the trash hauler and get quotes for that. And the only one that I received a quote back from was Hero Disposal, and they were cheaper than Eugles, so I called Eugles on Friday to have that switched. So Eugles pulled their, did they pull the 1 yard box out of there?
Yeah,
Did Heroes put their 1 yard box in yet?
yeah, it came today.
Okay.
What was the savings?
$3 a month.
$3.
$2 a month.
You was showing 55, and showing 53.
The lead and copper service line inventory is about 55% complete. Now, when I say complete, that does not mean entered into diamond maps. Those guys are taking out handwritten copies when they go into a home, filling out information, grabbing the person's phone number so that we can update our call-out system, and then that information then can be taken and put into manually into the diamond map system afterwards.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
We were supposed to be included in, Tom, Frank, you got those emails too, with the work orders, they were supposed to turn and come regularly?
Yep.
All right. Well, the work order, whenever it turned and came in, there was 10 of them, and whenever I turned and looked at it, there was 3 or 4 on there that we had just turned around and did within the past year. We replaced their meter with a touch read, and we also we've been doing the lead and copper for the past year and a half, by whenever we're replacing our meters.
Okay.
So 4 out of the 5 for that day had already turned around and been done, and I turned around and told you before that there's a lot of stuff on diamond maps, you just have to turn around and look for it.
Mhm.
So, an email was turned around and sent out. And on the back side here, it says work orders for 9/9/24 from Casey. I said 3 of those work orders didn't even need to be completed. They were new meter installs within the past year or so. Ruth Huey was actually Ken Wagner's. We replaced his meter and collected that data last year. I turned around and looked at that information, it was July of 2023. Jack Keith's properties in Crestview had also, both of them have been checked. One's a meter pit installed after 1991, and the other one is inside. In the other property, we installed a new touch read meter almost a year ago, and I have reiterated multiple times that the information is stored on diamond maps, but no one knows how to try and utilize it. It also has blow-off information and other useful information. Valuable time is being wasted to get out of work, and it shows. Now, you'd said before, though, about the blow-offs, and you turn around and ask employees for blow-off lists, and then I turn around after you, like a month or so, you turn around and talk to me, and within 2 minutes, I produced that report to you.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
So, after I turn and sending this back, I get this back from the office. It says, "Good afternoon. As far as diamond maps, it is utilized every day. And I do know how to try and use it, and that's how information is getting updated when tasks are completed. If I do recall, I was trained very well with utilizing this technology at hand within. My understanding with the lead and copper inventory is that we needed work orders for all service lines, even though they were already completed, so that we have a paper trail." Thank you.
Who was that email from?
They didn't turn around and sign it, but I'm usually turn around thinking Casey would turn around and sign something.
Okay. I don't know who it was from.
But, as Diamond Map says of 9/16/24, which is today at 5:58, whenever I looked at it, there are, I don't even know what this is, there's 13 entries into the lead and service line inventory, and a map of the system where the house in Swanktown is not turned around and changed over. I said that was a year and a half ago. But this new project that we turned around and did, still, it doesn't follow the road, it doesn't, nothing's changed.
No, and so I asked,
One more thing.
yeah,
You turn around, and I think you made the statement though, that turn around and Casey needs to learn how to turn do diamond mess, that is not in her job description.
I never said Casey's gonna do diamond maps. I said that when we do the lead and coppers, we're gonna handwrite them.
Okay.
And then that information can be, anybody in the office can input that information if they know how to use diamond maps. But I did not want Casey to have to do 580 some work orders, for work that we know has to be done. If they take a handwritten sheet out, they have the property owner's name, because the property owner has to let them into the house. We can update our call-out logs by updating the phone numbers, because we know this, when we send out an all call, we get a report back that not all those numbers are either connected or are still in service. So obviously, we would utilize that if we have to do boil water advisors or notify the public of emergencies. So that was a way for them to go into the home and update that information. We should be able to bring that information back and update it into the diamond maps. But my number one goal is to get the handwritten documents done first, and then do the DEP Excel sheet to get that submitted by the 17th.
That's kind of what I wanted to have, through a meeting this year.
You say we're 55% on checking them, but not entering the data.
Yes. Correct. So we had PRWA in the last week of September, and they assisted with some leak detection with Dan and the guys. That found one leak. It was on the private property part of the water line, so they sent a letter.
Is it very short?
I don't recall the name. Dan, what was the name?
No, I was up in McGill Lane. Was one of them was out.
And that letter hasn't been sent out, correct?
Yeah, it's already repaired.
That was the only thing that was found. And I did have, them schedule another time. So when is that coming next again, Dan?
That's 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from today?
Yeah.
Ken Stryline was on site 2 weeks ago and did the Method 334 certifications with Chris and Zach, so that they can start utilizing the chlorine analyzers for reportable samples. That needs to be done in UpTech, so now there's just quarterly samples that need to be done on the instrumentation, but there needs to be an initial performance capabilities test to anyone who's gonna run those tests. So that has been completed with the two hires. I would like a motion from the board for supplies that will be over $250. It will be with USA Blue Book. We are out of 20 NTU stable cal turbidity standard. So before the fourth quarter, calibrations are due up. We will need that standard to complete this. There is a cheaper option out there to buy the 667 NTU and dilute it down. The cost is minimal. I think it's more accurate and easier to deal with just to use the 20 NTU for the couple of dollars that you're gonna spend over, but, I think that's all I need is calibration standards, pH standards, all lab stuff from USA Blue Book.
We need a motion for that. What's the cost gonna be on that?
Isn't there a quarterly shipment? You don't get quarterly shipment?
No.
It used to. The 20, I think you're gonna get 20 NTU all the time.
In the 9 months that I've
You
been,
had to turn on flights, turn on, get the, what is it, 700, it was like 800, NTU.
so if I recall correctly, there was no standards in March that were within date. And I think that if we review the minutes, I had to call one of my other systems, have them borrow and buy 2 bottles. So Dan, in the last 9 months, has there been any quarterly orders from USA Blue Book that automatically just show up and we get an invoice for it?
No. When was that canceled?
I don't know.
As long as I've been here.
You become a legislator.
Okay.
It usually will come about a month or 2 before you actually need it.
As long as I've been here 9 months, that has not happened, and, the cabinet had a bunch of that 667 NTU that didn't build it down. I'm not a big fan of that, you know, in all honesty, I think the 20 NTU is easier.
Not unless you're running
So, yeah, if I can get a motion to get those supplies. I don't have a price right now, until I can email you guys and let you know the price, but it will be under $1,000.
That's every quarter we have to do that.
Well, when I order, I'm gonna order multiple quarters, so we probably want to do that again for at least 2, maybe 3 quarters.
Okay.
That's all I have, unless you guys have questions for me.
So we need a motion on, that stuff. Anybody make a motion to order that?
I make the motion to turn on order the reagents for the CL17 SC and the CL17.
I'll second that.
And what's the other one, 660? CT 660?
There's SC 200s, the roller millimeter, well, that's the controller, but they're, I have a model number here, I can do it for you. $1720Es on the raw.
The finished is the same.
Okay.
They're both like 660s are on the screen.
Yes.
Is there a second to that
We
motion?
have a second for that motion?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Is that all you have, Ken? Or, what am I calling it, Ken? Ryan, please.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Office report?
Just a motion to pay bills.
We need a motion to pay the bills.
That's somebody else's tonight.
Who wants to pay the bills?
I'll make that motion.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
I didn't know it was gonna be paid.
And a motion to drill into the security box. That'd be the one at the bank, you mean?
Yes. I'll make a motion to authorize, she has to do this in a letter, authorize myself, Tom Brink, and Casey, that way, hopefully the day that the guy comes to do it, that 2 of us are available, because 2 of us have to be there. So, 3 of us down, is that okay with you? Is that way if you're there? We have to be there to witness while he's drilling it, or they're not allowed to drill it, and it's $150. $150. She has to get a letter typed up and get back to the bank, then they'll set up a day to do it. So,
I'll second that.
there you go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Got it?
Is the chairman recusing himself?
He's late.
He could actually take his seat and vote.
Before I'm allowed to vote here.
I did.
Chairman's can't vote.
Oh,
Old
that's
business?
true.
Anybody have any old business?
The one thing is about the Denny and Linda Schaefer, that was taken care of today, correct?
Yeah.
And she agreed to pay for the meter pit only, right?
Yes, sir.
Because that tap should have never been removed,
Yeah.
from what I understand. wasn't here, had no part of it. I don't think it should have been removed, but we still got to put a blow off on there.
Yeah.
At a later date.
Is that the tap we removed to put a blow off out in there?
He put it back into where the tap was originally, right?
There was a blow off there originally, right?
No, it was the other way.
Okay.
It was a
There was a
tap.
tap there, and then whenever that house moved out of there, then IMA town confiscated it as a blow off. It's only a 3/4 inch, 3/4 inch line.
But it's a 2-inch long tap though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the black iron line that we we motioned to replace on that street for, I think it was 250 to 300 feet.
Oh, that's the one for the 4-inch pipe?
No, that's 2-inch pipe, that's the black iron pipe.
Yeah,
that
but
we
we're
turned
gonna
on.
replace it with 4-inch.
Street up, the street up,
Oh, street up.
we were supposed to replace the 4.
But it's still, at a later date, should get a minimum of a 2-inch blow off on it.
Yeah.
Hook it to the end of the line.
Yep.
Kind of wanted to iron that out, but Dan said he already talked to her, and she agreed to pay the bid, that we would pay all the other installations, but it should not have been taken out. We don't know who took it out, we don't care, it's gonna be taken care of.
The other thing in old business is secretary position. I know we interviewed a girl sometime here not too long ago.
Didn't we have 2 more interviews?
There's supposed to be 2.
Yeah, so it was 2 more.
The one never coming back. So as of right now, there's no other candidates that I have that have applied.
How about new business? Anybody have any new business?
One thing under new business, I think we should authorize Daniel to take the gray truck to a body shop and have the fenders painted on the bed, or there ain't gonna be no bed left to it. The rest of the truck looks in pretty decent shape, but them fenders are bad. I don't know who,
We need a motion on that?
Should we get a quote?
or get a couple quotes, I don't know who local has a good body shop.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Got Case and Huntsville,
Yeah, I know William and the other one's Keller, the ones I know.
but he, sometime in his spare time, he ought to be able to run that down. At least the fenders need to be done, or there ain't gonna be a bed left.
Somebody say Bud?
That's that.
Oh, Bud. So we can get prices or quotes on it,
I would say by the next meeting, we ought to have it done before winter.
yeah.
But they are bad.
I was just gonna say, you ought to get some type of time frame off these people you're getting quotes from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
You need to
yeah,
get some
time
kind
frame.
of time.
Yeah.
It's deer season, so they're gonna be overrun with deer damage.
I got 6 weeks to get a truck in to get inspected. And it ran out.
Keep running.
Can't get anybody work on tractors anymore.
I guess we need for adjournment, we need to, have a motion.
Before we adjourn, can I ask a question? Oh, sorry. I was just, you were saying about putting that meeting together, the executive session and the work session. Do you have a time frame for that, or who would be in charge of doing that?
No, not right now, probably Tom, right?
I can do that.
I would think this president of the council, chairman of the board here, and probably the chairman of the area supervisors.
Yeah.
3 of you guys get together, set a date that we have a powwow session.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, we get everybody to work, like, let everyone know when that's.
Yeah, we'll make an announcement.
Mr. Chairman, we adjourn. I have that permit on my phone. I made a copy of my, when I found right to know and have it. There's something that I forgot to state. My urgency for wanting that well utilized is because you have to have an emergency plan in place that's required. So that everybody, all the employees and you board members, when it drops and you can't match, you can't give to the customers because you have to give to the stream. Now what does IMA do? That's in your emergency plan.
Didn't you say it was ready to
You can
go?
talk to him,
It
you
is
get
fixed
one
and ready to go.
established so we know that the steps are gonna be easily followed by anyone that has to step in.
Jeff, I have a quick question on that.
Well, I do know when they were using it and blending it, there was no problems with the water, with the exception, for a week or two, they shut the reservoir off and ran that well constantly, and it was bad. It sucked all the iron and dirt and everything for 20 miles around. Other than that, it is pulling 20% usage, it's good.
I was worried.
You just can't over pump it.
And did you find your gallons last month?
Yeah, 4,137,900. 4,137,900.
How many gallons are sold?
That's 54%.
Would that have been part of?
Well, you gotta remember, Bill, we had, how many boil water advisories did we have last month because of heading line? That's
Yeah,
probably-
but you had 3.1785 or something like that the month before.
Yeah, just over 3 million the month before, we used to have 3 million gallons.
3 million.
Still discuss that there, you keep coming back to that. They're like Leo knows that we were trying to update our maps, but they turn around and use their own maps that they knew were outdated, and the stuff that we had marked could have found was much more information. So there's a communication loss.
Yes, it was making them all along.
Yeah, much.
All right, well then, let's turn on it. No, I'm just saying, if you're gonna be the supervisor and leader, you can implement.
Okay.
Are you gonna call for a motion to pay bills, or want me to just make it?
We already did, didn't we?
Not bills.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Let me ask you.
Nobody voted.
Oh,
Someone made a motion, someone made a second, but we never turned voted.
I think I have to bill, I thought that was for the truck. Yeah, well, what'd you write down? Make a motion to pay the bills. If they did, I missed it.
Is it Smitty second then?
Yeah, I think you.
Oh, did I make it? You made it? Okay, I made it.
I don't know if we have.
Did you say nobody else?
Yeah, we did, but-
Smitty said second.
For to pay the bills, we need to. All in favor to pay the bills? Aye.
Hey, you pay the bills? I think we did, it was stolen.
And then we need a motion for adjournment. I'll make that motion.
Jeff, return.
What?
German. Second.
No, I still got a couple things.
Oh, he always.
I'm gonna ask you, Carrie Keith. I talked to Carrie Keith. She's been trying to contact you since this shows 5:15. Actually, no, it's clean back to 3:04.
You don't care if I get them, do you? Just a bit of the bill.
This is back whenever you had control there. Why wasn't she ever contacted that?
I don't have any recollection of her trying to call me, I just had a person call me this week about bills, and I forwarded her onto the office and told them to, look into it.
No big.
My other question is, I got text messages coming back as early as 7:29 asking me about the Shaker property. I had my own opinion on
Wasn't
it,
at the meeting.
on the way it went before, but why did it turn
No,
out?
you're in
being-
charge, we voted for you to sign it.
No, but I think what he's asking.
I didn't want our guys putting it in,
Does he
until
sign up
we
here?
determined
Does he
who was
sign
gonna
on
pay
that
for it.
SOB?
Says mine over.
So,
Okay.
they come to the last meeting, and they said that,
Motion for you to sign.
they wanted answers as to why it wasn't done. So I told Dan, supplies, put it in, but don't turn it on until the board makes a call, who's paying for what.
Argona Water Authority, Dan, that's where you're wrong. I want the service installed and the meter put in. I will not get caught up in board member politics. We will turn around and install the tap, which is already there, and the meter pit so that it is ready for whenever the board makes its call on what the person should pay. I don't wait for anyone, not even board members. If that was your house and if you did not have water, you wouldn't want to wait either. So please schedule to install this by the end of the week. Starting with the PA1 call to turn on dig, submit today, and copy Tom and I on the receipt for 811. Is that correct?
That's me.
My thing is though, if we couldn't turn and make a decision within 2 months, and I'm the only one that turned look like it returned the email, I actually returned one this morning whenever I was asked to, but I actually turned and sent several of them. One was on September 6th. And, is that none? Yeah, and I sent one in August. But nobody else turned around and sent anything back. Why might anyone is turning around trying to make these decisions?
I have no idea.
Did anybody else read the rules and regulations, or why would you turn out and vote for Schaefer's property?
Disconnected.
Yeah. The easiest answer on it is in the rules and regulations, it's a trailer. If you're gonna install a trailer, you have to tie around with a meter pit.
The reason I was waiting for you guys to make the determination was, all I was told was that they had service, then they didn't have service, their service line was ripped out and put a blow off it.
They wasn't ripped out, they pulled the trailer,
Disconnected.
whatever it may be, that curb stop was still there. Employees, after they turned and ripped it out, used it as a blow off. I would turn around and say 75% of your blow offs in this system are of that caliber. You don't have a 2-inch to turn around and flush a 2-inch line, or a 2-inch to flush a 4-inch line. You've got a 4-inch line to turn around to almost the end of the town, and then have like a 3/4 inch blow off line. You're not scouring the line, you're doing a waste of water.
I agree with that, but
That's
I don't get the point where you were saying I was wrong for having that chat put in by saying I wasn't aware of the board.
No, it was already there, but somebody should have turned around and did the legwork and turned around and brought the suggestion to the board, is what I'm trying to
You
say.
go back to later and put down
You just turned around and heard crickets for 4 people,
for your.
and I knew what you were turning around and talking about, and I gave you an honest answer.
Okay, so you will attach that to the bill after you take the check.
How many wants
Good idea.
copies of the articles of incorporation? How many wants copies of the
I'll
articles?
just make one copy of it, please, so that she can distribute it.
We ready for a motion, Mike?
Yeah, we need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.